speed costs money. How fast do you want to go? It's a cliche that's been around since the beginning of hot rodding. And it's been around that long because it's true. Essentially, it's the truth. The guy with the most money, the guy with the most resources, ultimately, at the end of the rainbow, will always be the fastest guy out there. It's that simple. It's simple math. The guy that has the most money to spend can afford the best parts, the biggest quantity of parts, so you can just throw stuff at it. He's got the best crew. He's got the best transporter. He's got the best tools. He's got the best shop. He's got the ability to rent a track and go test and all of the things that you need to become the fastest guy out there. So yeah, at the end of the line, it really does all come down to money. But does the fastest guy always win the race? Because stick around to the end of the video and we'll get to that. Now, the reason I bring this up is because we did that feature on Cody Walker's drag and drive dart. And I presented it as a budget car, budget build. And a lot of you guys took exception to that. You're like, where's the budget there? It's got a supercharger, it's got aluminum heads, it's got crazy expensive rods. Everything in context. Everything in context. Now, that is a dedicated race car. Drag and drive is a specific type of racing. Drag and drive actually is one of the more expensive and involved forms of racing. Because not only do you have to go to the track and do all the things you've got to do at the track, but you've got to drive it there. It's not cheap. Guys who set up drag and drive cars generally use the best stuff money can buy. And I'm not talking about the slower cars. You could take any stock 14-second, 13-second muscle car and just drive it around and make laps with it. That's fine. But when you actually want to try to go fast, and Cody's been in the single digits with that dart, it takes a lot of money. Now, his car, in the grand scheme of things, is extremely budget. Yeah, it's got expensive heads, it's got expensive rods, the bottom end, it's got an expensive blower, it's got the technology. But look at the actual car itself. Look at what he's working with. It's as basic a Mopar or as basic a car as you're ever going to find. It's a 71 Dart. There's nothing special about the car. The body's completely stock. The interior is completely stock with the addition of a roll bar. You got to have that roll bar. The suspension is stock. The front suspension is stock. The rear suspension, yes, he has super stock springs. But the super stock springs, I know cars that go faster than that with the stock leaf springs. He chose to go with super stock springs because they work. But in the meantime, he could have used just the regular stock leaf springs that were in that car and preloaded. The main feature of super stock springs is that they're arched more on the right side, the passenger side, than they are on the left. And that jacks weight to the left front of the car and helps even out the launch. So you can duplicate the effect of super stock springs by using an air shock like I like to use. I use an air shock on the right side. Some people use a load leveler like a coil over shock on the right side. There's a lot of different ways to get around it. But the bottom line is it's a stock suspension car. It rolls on stock steel 15-inch rims. Think about all of this. The transmission, most of the guys who do drag and drive stuff at that level, they've got $8,000, $10,000 transmissions, right? Overdrives and stuff like that. He's got a very simple torque flight. It's a 904 torque flight. Yes, it has good parts inside of it, but it's a torque flight that really anybody could have built in their home garage. Home garage, he doesn't even have a home garage. All that stuff was done on a carport. The engine, yeah, okay, it's supercharged, it's got good heads, it's got good everything, but it's based around a junkyard 360 block, something that anybody could pick up anywhere, and not even a Magnum, just a regular 360. Anybody could pick one of those blocks up for $100 and start a build. It has all of the machine work necessary to bring everything up to snuff because you can't cut corners on a car like that. It's a budget car, and you have to put everything in perspective. It's a budget car. It's an expensive budget car if you're expecting something that's going to run, let's say, 1150s or thereabouts and only go to the track. No, that thing actually, it goes thousands of miles. It makes hundreds of passes. It stays together day after day, week after week, year after year. It's a budget car. You can't do what he's doing. You can't expect to do what he's doing with complete junkyard parts. So yeah, it strays a little bit from the, I don't know, the philosophies of this channel, because I like to work with junk. I think working with junk is fun. But his car is a budget car. If you want to operate at that level, if you want to perform the way that car performs and do it consistently, you're going to have to spend money on good parts, and you're going to have to spend money on the technology it takes to make a car be able to drive down the road several hundred miles, pull into a drag strip, change the tires, and go make laps. You're going to spend money. That is a budget car. He's got, I would estimate, I can't throw a dollar figure at the car, but I would say fairly safely that he's probably got about half as much in that car as the typical representative member of that breed does. So it's a budget car. So the fastest guy is always going to be the guy with the most money. It's true. It's true. But the fastest guy doesn't always win the race. And that's the thing about racing. That's the thing about drag racing. The win light does not care how you got there. The win light doesn't care what you're driving or the events that happened during the course of that race. The win light only cares that the car in this lane got there first. The guy with all of the money does not always get there first. And the higher up the food chain you go, the more temperamental the car becomes, giving the underdog a chance. And I've had this happen many times during the course of my life, where I've beaten stuff that I really should not be able to beat. So let's give you an example of something that happened on this channel a month ago, where we raced Casper. Now, we beat Casper. Make no mistake about it, this thing right here is a pile of shit. There is nothing of any worth or value or sophistication in that package right there. It is junk. And I'm proud of that. I love that it's junk. How do we beat Casper, right? Well, remember now, the win light only cares which car gets to the other end first. It doesn't care how it got to the other end first. So going into this race, now I remember I called him out, but I called him out on my terms. So here's the thing with a call out, and you have to understand this, right? The underdog always sets the conditions of the race. It's just the way it is. So you've got a faster car, but we're going to race in these conditions. And if the faster car agrees to it, well then there you go. So now I negotiated the race in my favor. Casper, I know, has a 700 horsepower motor. It's a legit pump gas 700 horsepower motor. There is no way I can go toe-to-toe with that thing on a quarter-mile track and win. Even if I tree him, even if I freight train him for the first 300 feet, he's just going to drive right around me. So my first condition was that it's going to have to be on an 8th mile track. And he has no problem with that because he usually runs on 8th mile tracks. But remember, I'm the underdog, so I'm gonna set the conditions for the race, up to him to accept. So then the second thing I said was it's going to be one and done, right? Just one run. That's it. Whoever gets to the other end first, done. No 2 out of 3, no nothing. And he was okay with that too. And then it was going to be no practice runs, no warming up, off the trailer. So you pull the car in, pull it off the trailer, warm it up, pull it to the lanes, and go. And he agreed with that too. Because again, Andy has a ton of experience. He's got great equipment there. If he has a chance to break it in, you know what I mean, to make a couple of test passes, I don't have a chance. There's no way. He agreed to that term also. Because he knew the advantage that he has going in. I've got junk, and he's got some seriously good, well thought out, well built equipment there. He agreed to that. I also called the track. Okay, it's like a home track advantage. You know, think about it now. He's going to take this car. He's never been down this track before. He's going to go right off the trailer and make a run. There's a psychological thing to it. Yes, I know you can take any car and run it on any track and go. But there's a psychological aspect to this now because this is all new scenery to him. He's never been through those staging lanes. He's never staged on that track. It's completely unfamiliar to him. So it's going to break his concentration. He's not going to be as focused as he should be. So I called the home track advantage, another thing that worked in my favor. Now, also, part of the terms were we were going to try to be the first pair of cars down the track. And the reason I wanted that was because he has an extreme horsepower advantage. And a truck that's actually been sorted, where a bottle rocket here only gets out every once in a while. So it's not sorted, and I'm not really up to snuff. So my thought was, all of those terms, no practice runs, cold track, all of that, was that there's a very good possibility he spins the tires. Because without a practice run, you don't know how you're going to leave. So odds are, he's going to leave hard, he's going to spin the tires, I'll be able to get that advantage on him, and I can maybe lead him to the 660. If I could tree him, and he spins the tires a little bit, I could probably get that wind light, which is the only thing I'm focused on now, just the wind light. All right. Now, as it turned out, he didn't have that problem. He had a different problem. His converter was too tight, and the truck bogged. Now, if he had had a practice run or two, he would have figured, well, I'll just drive around this somehow. I'll be able to, I'll load it up against the converter this way, or I'll hit it this way, whatever it happened to be. But because he didn't have the practice run, it is what it is, and it's going to go. So rather than spinning the tires like I thought he did, it bogged, and I was able to get out on him. And then he hunted me down, right? And we got to the stripe, and we could have reached out the windows and shook hands with each other. I, on the other hand, didn't expect to spin the tires, and I spun the tires for 100 and something feet. But that's besides the point. A win is a win. And this is what counts. So all hope is not lost. You can money will always be the fastest guy. When you look at what the championship is, when you look at what the record is, yeah, it's always going to be the guy with the deepest pockets. That's the way it is. But the guy with the deepest pockets doesn't always turn on the wind light. And that's what you have to understand when it comes to racing. You can go out there, you can budget. You have to work a little harder. You have to be a little more imaginative. You've got to be a little more ruthless. You've got to be a little more creative, whatever it happens to be. And you've got to be on your game. You've really got to be on your game. And you can occasionally take the wind light from the faster car, the guy with the deepest pockets. That's the beauty of racing. That's what makes it so much fun. I've never said on this channel that it's bad to have money. I said on this channel many times, and the philosophy of this channel is that it's more fun to go fast with a slow car than slow with a fast car. And I stick with that. It's not how fast you go, it's how you go fast. So, but just to go full circle with it. No, wait. I'm going to give you another example. Just another example. Because remember, if you're watching this channel, odds are you're an underdog and you're working with a budget. But just keep this in mind. You could take a dead stock Toyota Prius and you can call out a top fuel dragster. And if they meet your terms, you can beat that top fuel dragster. The odds are actually in your favor. So to take it to an extreme, yeah, we'll go heads up, but we're going to run on gravel. Well, obviously the top fuel dragster cannot function on gravel. If you won this race, because your Toyota is just going to zip right to the finish line. Now you're going to run in the rain. Okay, no matter what, the top fuel dragster cannot function in the rain. Although I've watched Japanese top fuel cars do it. These guys are nuts, right? You call the terms. You could beat it. And even in a heads-up situation, so in other words, like, all right, fine, I'll race your top fuel dragster with my Toyota, and we're going to do it on a prepped track. You still have odds of winning that race because the top fuel dragster is very finicky. The top fuel dragster can throw the clutch out of it. It can throw the crankshaft on the ground. It can pop the blower. It could just blow the tires off. It could tag a wall. It could do all sorts of things because the faster the car is, even the top dollar ones, even the best stuff out there that money can buy, even those guys have problems. Whereas with your Toyota, you will never have a problem. It will always just go A to B, zip. So, you line up against this top fuel dragster, it goes out 100 feet, and it throws the crank on the ground. You know what? You're going to motor through for the win. The win light does not care how you got there. It only cares that you did get there. So don't think too much about budget. Don't gripe about other people having too much money or just have your fun, build it your way, run your race, focus on you in your lane. Don't worry about what the other guy's doing. Just do the best you possibly can. And have fun with it. Because that's what it's all about. If you're not having fun, too many guys just do this for their ego. Don't ever do this stuff for your ego. If you're doing the hot rod thing or the drag racing thing for your ego, go away. Go away. You're never going to have fun. You will never be satisfied. Do it for the thrill of competition. Do it for the challenge. It's all good. I'll see you tomorrow.